Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Rozman dan terdapat beberapa kru bersama saya di sini di World Hotel Bandar Utama Petaling Jaya bersempena sidang kemuncak semikonduktor ASEAN 2025 yang telah dianjurkan oleh perdagangan dan juga pelaburan industri MITI, Kementerian MITI termasuk juga dengan kerjasama oleh Persatuan Industri Semikonduktor Malaysia MSIA. Sesudah itu kita melihat dijangkakan terdapat peserta melibatkan peserta sebanyak 500 dari para polisi, daripada pemain industri, pemimpin termasuk juga dengan pengubbal dasar yang akan bersama dengan kita untuk melihat bagaimanakah kita dapat membawakan perbincangan terutamanya semikonduktor, apakah rantaian bekalan semikonduktor, di manakah kedudukan kita dan bagaimana untuk kita memantapkan kedudukan kita agar dapat menjadi satu rantaian bekalan yang strategik dan menjadi satu hub terkemuka dunia. Namun apa yang kalau kita lihat, kerajaan juga bakal mengumumkan beberapa langkah proaktif untuk memastikan industri semikonduktor negara terus berdaya saing pada sidang kemuncak semikonduktor ASEAN ASEMIS 2025 hari ini. Dan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim dalam hantaran di platform X berkata langkah proaktif itu akan diumumkan semasa beliau menyampaikan ucap pertama di ASEMIS bersempena setahun pelancaran strategi semikonduktor nasional NSS, dan beliau yang mempengerusikan mesyuarat Majlis Pelaburan Negara MPN ketiga bagi 2025 pada Rabu telah memperincikan status keberhasilan NSS setelah setahun diperkenalkan, dan NSS yang dilancarkan pada 28 Mei tahun lepas bertujuan memperkukuh kedudukan Malaysia dalam rantaian bekalan semikonduktor global. Antara hal itu jelas NSS adalah menyasarkan pembangunan 110 syarikat tempatan dalam aktiviti bernilai tinggi. Baik, itu adalah antara hantaran oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim mengenai NSS, apa yang telah diumumkan oleh beliau. Namun sebenarnya kita berada di sini adalah untuk bawakan anda satu perbincangan yang amat kritikal dan penting ketika ini, melihat kepada apa yang telah dikatakan oleh Tunku Datuk Seri Zafrul sendiri yang mengatakan ASEAN sudah mempunyai kapasiti dan kita juga telah mempunyai strategi yang berkecuali untuk memantapkan strategi ataupun kedudukan hub semikonduktor ASEAN ni. Tentu saya tidak keseorangan, kami akan bawakan juga penganalisis dan pemimpin industri untuk bersama kami dan melihat apakah antara aspek-aspek ataupun komponen utama apabila kita bercakap mengenai rantaian bekalan semikonduktor di peringkat serantau ASEAN. Dengan itu izinkan saya berbahasa Inggeris untuk kita berbincang dengan tetamu kita. Alright, I'm going to welcome you, our guest. Right beside me is Dato' K. Astro, the CEO of Phison Electronics. I want to say thank you very much, Dato'. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good morning, everyone.
Alright, definitely today is a very busy day, exclusive day. We're going to see a lot of activities, discussions, networking from morning till evening. And then we are expecting our Prime Minister to give a speech with our Minister of MITI will give also officialize, or we're going to say the speech during the opening speech. But talking about the semiconductor especially, and then Malaysia is a chairman of ASEAN 2025, and then we are seeing the increase of industry needing semiconductor as the main component. Firstly, we want to take a look at Phison first. What brings Phison to ASEMIS 2025, and why is this summit is very important?
Phison is company 25 years old. We are played a very key role in the storage industry. We are the biggest supplier in this industry. Since last year, we invest our new startup in Malaysia, in Puchong. Name is Malaysia AI Storage. We have 60 new headcount after training. Now they're doing great job. So, due to the geopolitical initiated by the 2018, we can see ASEAN played a very important role, especially Malaysia. A lot of manufacturing move out from China to Malaysia. So due to Phison, we are start to moving our design activity here.
Okay.
We are under invited by MITI to participate this event. Especially talking about semiconductor, right? In here, mainly talking about the manufacturing. But manufacturing is good, create job, create GDP, but the value from the generated by the semicon manufacturing is small. So now we are talking about how to create a design in semicon. So we are playing a role here. That's why we hope using this ASEAN summit to bring us more to the all ASEAN partner. Take Malaysia is a hub of a design, then distribute to ASEAN country.
And help us understand, how do you ASEAN and Malaysia particularly playing a bigger role in the global semiconductor supply chain?
ASEAN, we have a 600 million population. We can provide a lot of labor service, but labor service is good. Again, in these few years, every country talking about the national security, talking about design value. We hope ASEAN not just only as a users and provide the labor service, but can create the design activity to improve the income of an ASEAN country.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is a very important aspect and landscape that we need to take a look and to push forward the semiconductor supply
Yes.
chain. And also mentioned that Phison is also well known for the memory and also storage solutions, and ASEAN is positioning itself as a major semiconductor hub through the initiatives such as the ASEAN Framework for Integrated Semiconductor Supply Chain, the AFISS. From Phison perspective, what are the new opportunities and the challenges do you see in the region as the ecosystem grows?
Storage is a key element to every human. Okay, everyone need to use a storage, but unfortunately, ASEAN don't have such industry. All the storage in ASEAN are import from the Western or Northeast Asia supplier. So we hope ASEAN can convert ourselves from users to developers to make the design here, produce here, data stored in the storage. So this is something concern in the national security. So if we can put the design hub in Malaysia, helping our ASEAN partner doing their own activity, helping their national security, create their value, create their job, this is, I think, is the best to improve the ASEAN, the influence power in the world. So this is our goal, try to make it happen.
This is a very important phase for us to take advantage,
Yes.
to benefit from it. Are there any collaborations or opportunities that you and Phison are looking to explore here at ASEMIS 2025?
We are trying to move our manufacturing. Actually, we are produced in Taiwan before. Now we are moving back to Malaysia. We are supporting the ecosystem here. But again, our key role is not mainly in manufacturing, it's a design. Follow the Minister of MITI. I think today he's going to announce the National Semiconductor Strategy.
Okay.
This is not only talking about manufacturing, but also the design. So our role here is mainly to prove the design able to develop in here, and we are going to be sustained in here to make our hometown our own technology.
Given the geopolitical headwinds that might cause a disruption within the supply chain and the whole ecosystems, what is your outlook for the semiconductor supply chain moving forward for ASEAN, Malaysia, as for the region over the next few years?
We believe this geopolitical things is not going to compromise. Okay, so ASEAN will be the very, very important area because here we have a population, we have enough consumption power. So this area will be the key role in the semiconductor supply chain, no doubt. But we have to ask ourselves, are we going to play only the role, spend the money to buy products, to provide the cheap labor, or how can we create our value, helping to increase the income of a citizen in ASEAN? So the solution is doing the design, provide the design service, making the design here to have a much better exporting, helping us to get a more profit.
The design is very important. We need to design the framework, design the right solution, design the right opportunities, so we can design the best kind of result, produce the best kind of result. Maybe take a look at the bigger for our ministry, MITI, has taken a big role and has been pushing a lot of initiative and efforts towards the semiconductor supply chains. And despite the global tensions with the tariffs and everything, we may say that the industry is exempted because this is the industry that is most vulnerable towards the US exposure. Despite all of this, we know that we have to increase our internal strength, increase our strength so we can have the energy and have the strength to face any type of challenges moving forward, any type of form. How do you see MITI roles in dealing with delegations? We know that it's ongoing, and then 1st August, I think we have less than 1 week left, so there's a lot to consider. How do you see that MITI's role in reforming the national agenda, especially in the whole semiconductor ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely MITI play a very big role to negotiate the best term for Malaysia, right? But to be honest, this is not decide by our side. It's decided by the other side, right? I mean, depends if he's happy or not. But Other than this, right, we need to strengthen our value. Malaysia has a good skill in their manufacturing, but talking about design, the talent is far than enough. So MITI, they also play the role, try to train the more talent design in the semiconductors. Also, we play the role. We took the undergraduate student here after training 6 months, can convert them to the good skilled designer, not in manufacturing, not in the factory, is in the design house doing the design. So if we can solve the challenge of talent, everything will be perfect.
And that is our hope moving forward. And I want to say thank you very much to Dato' K. Asyraf for helping us understand how is the whole ecosystem or landscape of semiconductor, not only from the manufacturing part, but also from the designing part. Again, I want to say thank you very much to Dato' K. Asyraf and CEO of Phison Electronics. Hope to see you again, as this is a very early morning as we start.
Thank you.
As I will release you. Thank you so much, Dato'.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you again. Okay. Baik, ada banyak lagi perbincangan yang akan kita bawakan. Pada ketika ini, kalau kita lihat sekarang tengah ucapan perasmian oleh Presiden MSIA, Persatuan Semikonduktor Industri Malaysia, termasuk juga dengan diikuti dengan ucapan perasmian oleh Timbalan MITI pada ketika ini, dan teruskan untuk anda menyaksikan benda ini, dan kita akan berhenti rehat seketika dan kita akan kembali selepas ini.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Cara kita mendapat berita kian berubah. Melalui media sosial maupun saluran digital yang lain serta kaca TV. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini.
Kita buat sesuatu yang berbeza.
Berteraskan acuan verifikasi yang diamalkan supaya setiap fakta adalah sahih. Daripada analisis pelbagai sudut yang mendalam, laporan-laporan khas dan perbincangan yang membina negara. Inklusif, suara rakyat kami ajukan. Keseimbangan persepsi kami pastikan. Kerana setiap cerita mempunyai impak yang tersendiri dan perlu dibawa dengan penelitian yang terperinci. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda, tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada. Saluran berita paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
Kemunculan 5 star kini semakin hampir.
Both of you 5.
Give me 5.
Saya bagi 5. 5.
You sounded like a star.
Siapa yang akan rise dengan 5 star untuk ke separuh akhir? Race the Star Malaysia di Astro Ria dan Astro Go.
Terbukti bahawa tahap kesediaan digital yang tinggi membolehkan usahawan PMKS menerima kemajuan teknologi, meningkatkan inovasi dan daya saing. Nak tahu bagaimana nak menilai tahap kesediaan digital dan mempercepatkan transformasi digital syarikat anda? Temui kami di 5 lokasi: Perak, Sabah, Kelantan, Melaka dan Selangor. Jumpa di sana.
Bertemu kembali dalam Niaga Awani, di mana kami bersiaran secara langsung dan secara khas di World Hotel, iaitu di Bandar Utama Petaling Jaya, di mana sedang berlakunya acara yang sangat besar dan penting, Sidang Kemuncak Semikonduktor ASEAN 2025. Ini adalah anjuran oleh Kementerian MITI bersama kerjasama MSIA, iaitu Persatuan Industri Semikonduktor Malaysia. Di sini kalau kita lihat ucap pertama dijangka akan diberikan oleh Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, diikuti juga dengan ucapan perasmian juga oleh Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul, Kementerian MITI. Sudah tentu ini adalah antara ucapan yang kami nantikan. Namun pada pagi ini kami sudah membawakan liputan untuk bawakan anda memahami mengapakah acara ini diadakan dan apakah antara fokus utama dalam sidang kemuncak ini. Sudah tentu fokus utama adalah untuk memberi fokus kepada semikonduktor rantaian bekalan, apakah yang boleh kita lakukan, apa yang perlu kita lakukan bergerak ke hadapan untuk mantapkan lagi, menjadikan hub semiconductor ni sebagai hub terkemuka dunia, terutamanya di peringkat ASEAN. Dan saya bukan seorangan, tapi tadi sebelum kita berhenti rehat, saya bersama dengan tetamu untuk melihat daripada lanskap semiconductor daripada aspek design, reka bentuk. Dan kali ini saya membawakan satu lagi antara pemimpin industri yang akan bersama saya untuk membincangkan mengenai aspek-aspek industri semiconductor ini. Izinkan saya berbahasa Inggeris. Alright, I want to welcome you, our guests. With me, I want to welcome you, Mr. Ang Wee Seng, the Executive Director of Singapore Semiconductor Industry Association, SSIA. I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Ang, for joining me. How are you?
All good, thank you.
Hopefully the traffic coming here is very good.
Yes.
Okay, we know the event or ASEMIS 2025 will be held from morning till evening. There's a lot of discussion, networking will be going on. We will see head-to-head between the policymakers, industry players, industry leaders. And we know that this event brings together policymakers and industry leaders from not only across Malaysia but also across ASEAN. From Singapore perspective, why is this summit important, and what do you hope will come up from this summit?
So this summit, the way I look at it, is not just another summit, it's not just another conference. It's really a reflection of ASEAN. ASEAN in terms of shared prosperity in bringing the nations together. In that way, this summit is to me a start of a very strong collaboration among the companies from this industry, something more than ever the industry needs today in a very fragmented world, in a world where it is fragmented by the trade tensions. Hopefully the outcome, and I hope this will be the start of it, is to have a more collaborative joint collaboration among the companies of the various nations of ASEAN to form a more resilient ecosystem for the semicon industry, something that we can showcase and attract more semicon investment into this region.
I like what you mentioned, that a lot of these industry players are not talking about the ecosystem within the people, but also within the gaps, within a lot of aspects, and this is a start of collaboration for every industry, despite a lot of fragmentation is happening, not only locally, domestically, but globally. And Singapore has established itself as a hub of high-value semiconductor activities such as R&D, chips and design, while Malaysia is strong in manufacturing and packaging. How do you see these strengths complement each other and create more integrated ASEAN semiconductor supply chain?
In fact, Singapore and Malaysia has a very long history in semiconductor. We are already more than half a century old. And if you look at the details, our companies are already collaborating. And what you just mentioned is exactly the strength of what I see, bringing the companies together under the ASEAN framework as a high potential to build a stronger ecosystem. So this example is one that we can say building end-to-end, semicon solution. Imagine getting now countries like Vietnam in, Philippines in. The entire ecosystem from end to end will even be stronger with greater opportunity. And I think something, again, like I mentioned, can be showcased to the world on our, the capability of ASEAN.
Yes, we need to tell more storytellings of the capability of ASEAN. What are we offering? What can we do? And how can we expand from this?
Correct.
And ASEAN is often seen as a neutral ground in times of trade tensions and technological race. How can the region use its position to attract? You've mentioned a bit parts of it, strategy to attract more global investment. But how can we strengthen its role in the semiconductor market, despite the tensions from we can say from the west part?
So this neutrality for ASEAN is actually, I'll look at it as our superpower, coupled with pro-business framework that exists. This is actually a very attractive and strategic region for many investors, many companies from the west and from the east. So what I can see is that if ASEAN can bring together, have a more collaborative mindset among the 10 nations, and really to focus on the strength of each of these nations, there is actually an opportunity to showcase to the world that we are actually building beyond. So today, ASEAN, we are already making about 25% of the global chips. So a quarter of semiconductor is really out of ASEAN. Now the question is, can we do more? No one nation can do this alone, and together, I believe, will be the strength to lead to the future for semiconductor.
And we know also to lead the future is not easy, as we have to lead the conversations, lead the industry, and talent also remains a challenge within this. If we only have the infrastructure is completed, but we have no one on the ground to do it, to execute, then we cannot achieve our goals.
Exactly.
As talent remains a challenge across the entire industry, I also had my conversation with Dato' KS. He also said one of the challenges is the people, the talent. What initiatives are, especially from SSIA, driving to develop the right skill of workforce for Singapore and the wider region?
So you're right, talent development, in fact talent attraction is and will always be a challenge for the industry, even for an industry that continue to expand, not just regionally, not just within the country, but globally also. So over at SSIA, we have a very targeted outreach program where we go down to the students, talking to them beyond STEM, talking to them about semiconductor. Even at the workforce level, we continue to ensure that the workforce skills are upgraded and upskilled and made relevant. And more importantly, we also heavily invest in developing the leaders for tomorrow. So today, with the ASEAN concept of coming together, it will actually attract more attention, potential future talents, seeing the potential of this industry. So again, something that is positive, and hopefully this will be something that will drive talent attraction into the future. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Not only attract more investment, but also attract more talent and the future leaders of this industry.
Exactly.
And looking ahead, what technologies and even our sectors such as AI and automotive chips, do you believe will drive ASEAN competitiveness in semiconductor space over the next, we can say, 5 years?
These technologies like AI, in many ways, they are seen as disruptors, but at the same time, it is also the way I look at it as opportunity. Now, no one nation, I mentioned earlier, can really be the lead in this one space, but in combination, you need the IC designers, you will need the fabrication factories to come out. So in combination, I think there's an opportunity for ASEAN to lead the way, not just in the space of manufacturing the AI chips, but also in adopting the AI into intelligent manufacturing. It's no more advanced manufacturing now, it's intelligent. It's about driving advanced microchips that goes into the vehicle, but more importantly, the future technologies like quantum. So ASEAN holds a very, I would say, strategic position in this area. Singapore, Malaysia, we have very strong R&D in this space. And hopefully with the support and strength from countries like Indonesia, who is now very big on AI programming, IC designers from Vietnam, this ASEAN concept is a very strategic concept that I think the world will start to notice. Yeah.
Correct, and then something maybe we can learn from Vietnam and Indonesia as well, if they reach the needed rate for their own country. Yeah. I think they have done their best to come with a solutions or agreement that suit best of their interests.
Correct.
And now we understand that MITI organizes, there have been a lot of initiatives. I think a lot of hundreds of initiatives has been done, and Summit is one of it, one of the platform that has been given for us to explore a lot of opportunities and establish what are the challenges that we need to address immediately. Exactly. From Singapore, probably what can something that MITI can also learn from the trade investment from Singapore as well, because we know that not only enforcing the whole restructuring or reformation of the supply semiconductor, but we also restructuring how we will collaborate and work together at the next round. Maybe what some of the things that we can learn from trade and investment from Singapore and then leverage on MITI strength also?
So not so much learning from Singapore, but I would say one piece of point that I'd like to emphasize is always get close to the industry needs. Talk to the industry in terms of needs, not just from talent, but from technology standpoint, because I think the closest allies for an agency like MITI would actually be the businesses. And I think that alone is a recipe for success, and now bring it regionally, I think that will be even a greater success.
And we know that this event will be going Summit from morning till evening, and you'll be hearing a lot of speeches and a lot of sharings, key points from policymaker, industry player. What are you expecting some of the key highlights or key points that you will be getting from this journey?
I was hoping to hear more I would say feedback from the companies, the industries, on how excited they are about this ASEAN collaboration. Their feedback will be crucial because ultimately it's a business that drives the semicon sector. Not so much the policies, those will support, but the business will be the one that will enhance and grow the industry forward. And to hear them in this platform will be something that I'm looking forward to.
Despite the global tension, and also a lot of economists expecting economic slowdown.
Yeah.
What are some of the trends that the industry player, policymaker should look at? This is to watch for in the rest of the years.
I think more importantly, two areas we mentioned earlier on the talent, the skill set are needed. While yes, there's a fragmentation in terms of the trade globally, there's also a need to ensure that technology remains relevant with the relevant skill sets. So I think that should be something that we must continuously monitor. Secondly is of course the technology that will drive the future of human needs, bring the relevance back to to this region. I know when we talk about semicon, we are always talking about the 2 nanometers of the world, the leading bleeding edge technology. But majority of the human needs are beyond that. It's not just the MacBook Pro or the advanced laptop that you use. It's your Internet of Things, your connectivity, data centers. So I believe these are trends that we should monitor closely and ensure that we are leading the space.
All right. Thank you so much for leading this conversation with me. Again, I want to say thank you very much to our guest, Mr. Ang Wee Sing, the Executive Director of Singapore Semiconductor Industry Association, SSIA, and I hope to have more future conversation with you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Baik, itu adalah antara perbincangan untuk kita melihat bagaimanakah analisis mengenai semiconductor industry. Ini adalah pemain industri daripada rakan negara jiran, iaitu daripada Singapura sendiri. Di mana kita akan melihat beliau telah berkongsi apakah antara cabaran yang peluang boleh kita ambil, terutamanya dalam memacu keseluruhan ekosistem ataupun rantaian bekalan semiconductor di Malaysia dan di keseluruhan peringkat ASEAN. Dan tentu liputan kami bukan berakhir di sini saja, di mana rakan-rakan tugas yang lain juga akan berada di Dewan di setiap checkpoint untuk membawa ke anda setiap perkembangan dari semasa ke semasa, terutamanya membawa anda kepuasan mengenai Semiconductor Industry Summit dan apakah antara perkara-perkara yang perlu kita beri tumpuan dan perhatian. Dan jangan ke mana-mana, banyak lagi laporan yang akan kami bawakan. Dan selepas ini rakan tugas Harits Asyraf akan bawakan perkembangan seterusnya dan perkembangan AWANI International selepas kita berhenti rehat.
Uniform Tentera Darat Malaysia TADM bagi peserta program latihan khidmat negara tidak seharusnya menjadi isu hangat.
Jenayah penipuan pelaburan mencatatkan jumlah kerugian tertinggi pada tahun ini setakat 2 Februari lalu.
Kementerian Pendidikan memandang serius isu peningkatan trend penggunaan rokok elektronik.
Lembaga Lebuhraya Malaysia LLM memperluaskan larangan kenderaan berat memasuki lebuhraya pada waktu puncak di beberapa jajaran terpilih di sekitar Lembah Kelam.
Mereka berjaya membuktikannya. Inovaton kembali. Jom sertai Inovaton musim ketiga. Jika anda ada idea menarik dan inovatif, sahut cabaran Inovaton. Anda berpeluang memenangi hadiah lumayan. Imbas kod QR tertera untuk pendaftaran dan sila hadirkan diri ke lokasi-lokasi berikut untuk membentangkan idea anda. Selamat mencuba. Moga berjaya. Tonjolkan idea inovasi anda yang terpendam selama ini.
Welcome to the Belgian Grand Prix.
Welcome to Spa.
And the Belgian Grand Prix is go! Side by side we go into Eau Rouge, and it's a 3-car battle. This is why drivers get into motor racing, to go racing at venues like this.
Superb move.
This is the Belgium Grand Prix.
And now we've got a battle for the lead.
It's going to come down to the final lap of the race.
What a Grand Prix.
Tariffs on imports of products from China reaching up to 145%.
Tariffs on the rest of the world are sitting at 10%, with the potential for reciprocal tariffs to be reimposed within 90 days.
Kunjungan rasmi Presiden China ke Malaysia ini menunjukkan komitmen kedua-dua negara untuk meningkatkan hubungan diplomatik ke tahap yang lebih strategik.
Assalamualaikum, selamat hormat anda menyaksikan Niaga Awani bersama saya Harits Asyraf. Sebentar tadi ada bersama dengan Nina Rozman langsung dari Petaling Jaya berkenaan dengan ASEAN Semiconductor Summit 2025. Itu akan kami bawakan sepanjang hari ini. Tapi untuk tumpuan berbaki dalam 30 minit ini, banyak perkara kita nak melihat kepada apa yang diumumkan oleh Perdana Menteri semalam. Pelbagai reaksi kalau kita lihat di media sosial, ada yang sangat-sangat gembira, ada yang tak sangka dapat RM100 daripada kerajaan dan juga tak kurang juga mungkin ada sedikit pandangan kritis. Tapi sebelum itu banyak laporan yang saya nak bawakan pada waktu ini, antaranya dari segi STR juga, di mana seramai 8.5 juta penerima sumbangan tunai rahmah STR telah direkodkan dan sejumlah RM4 bilion disalurkan melalui bayaran STR fasa 1 dan fasa 2 menurut Kementerian Kewangan MOF. Katanya terdapat baki 2 fasa bayaran STR yang akan dibuat pada Ogos 2025 dan November 2025.
Menurut MOF, kerajaan telah meningkatkan peruntukan ke tahap tertinggi bagi STR dan sumbangan asas rahmah SARA iaitu kepada RM13 bilion daripada RM10 bilion. Dalam jawapan bertulis yang dimuat naik di laman sesawang Parlimen, MOF maklumkan peningkatan ini terus memberi manfaat kepada 9 juta penerima atau bersamaan 60% penduduk dewasa negara. MOF berkata demikian bagi menjawab soalan Ku Poi Tiong, PH Kota Melaka berkenaan jumlah peruntukan kewangan yang telah diagihkan bagi 2024 untuk program SARA. Bagi program SARA, MOF berkata sehingga 14 Julai 2025, lebih 4.9 juta daripada keseluruhan penerima SARA telah menggunakan MyCard untuk membeli barangan asas di premis berdaftar. Ini mencerminkan kadar penggunaan sebanyak 92% secara keseluruhan bagi bulan keempat pengkreditan. Seramai 5.4 juta penerima direkodkan dengan jumlah kelayakan SARA untuk setahun sebanyak RM5 bilion. Jumlah penerima SARA juga telah ditingkatkan secara signifikan daripada 700,000 kepada 5.4 juta bermula April 2025. Tambahnya, kerajaan kekal komited dan sentiasa memantau situasi semasa dalam memastikan program bantuan tunai kerajaan terus disalurkan kepada golongan memerlukan bagi mendepani cabaran kos sara hidup.
Dalam pada itu, Dewan Perniagaan dan Perindustrian Kebangsaan Malaysia NCCIM menyambut baik siri inisiatif strategik dan berfokuskan rakyat yang diumumkan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim semalam. Dalam satu kenyataan, Presiden NCCIM Datuk Seri N. Gopalakrishnan berkata, inisiatif itu disifatkan sebagai langkah tepat dan memberi impak besar kepada rakyat serta komuniti perniagaan.
Malah pihaknya menyokong penuh keputusan kerajaan untuk menurunkan harga petrol RON85 kepada RM1.99 seliter yang dijangka dapat mengurangkan tekanan kos terutamanya kepada perusahaan kecil dan sederhana PKS, pengendali pengangkutan dan sektor yang bergantung kepada logistik. Langkah ini katanya akan membantu meredakan tekanan inflasi, mengurangkan kos operasi dan merangsang penggunaan domestik sekaligus memperkukuh daya tahan ekonomi negara. Mengenai reformasi pasaran buruh, NCCIM menyambut baik langkah kerajaan menaikkan gaji minimum kepada RM1,700 bermula Ogos ini serta pelaksanaan gaji kehidupan wajar atau living wage sebanyak RM3,100 oleh syarikat berkaitan kerajaan GLC yang bakal memberi manfaat kepada 153,000 pekerja di seluruh negara. Ujarnya, kadar pengangguran negara telah menurun kepada 3% setakat Mei 2025, iaitu paras terendah dalam tempoh lebih sedekad. Langkah ini katanya mencerminkan komitmen kerajaan dalam meningkatkan kesejahteraan rakyat. Beliau turut memuji keputusan kerajaan menggandakan peruntukan program jualan rahmah madani kepada RM600 juta yang akan dikeluaskan ke semua 600 kawasan Dewan Undangan Negeri DUN dengan penawaran barangan keperluan pada harga subsidi. Dalam aspek infrastruktur, NCCIM menyokong keputusan kerajaan mengekalkan kadar tol di 10 lebuh raya utama yang disifatkan sebagai pendekatan seimbang antara pembangunan dan kemampuan rakyat.
Okey, baik. Ketika kerajaan sebenarnya memperkenalkan pelbagai langkah fiskal dan sosial termasuk penyasaran subsidi serta pengukuhan jaringan keselamatan sosial melalui program sumbangan tunai rahmah STR dan sumbangan asas rahmah SARA, timbul persoalan mengenai keberkesanan jangka panjang inisiatif-inisiatif ini dalam membina ketahanan ekonomi isi rumah. Dan dalam masa yang sama, perhatian turut tertumpu kepada kemampuan Malaysia untuk mengimbangi keperluan bantuan rakyat dengan disiplin fiskal yang mampan tanpa meningkatkan defisit fiskal secara berlebihan. Dan jadi untuk mengulas lanjut perkara ini, bersama dengan saya secara dalam talian, Profesor Dr. Noradli Rizwan Shah Muhammad Dali, Profesor di Fakulti Ekonomi dan Muamalat Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia USIM, yang juga Exco Persatuan Ekonomi Pengguna dan Keluarga Malaysia MAKFI. Prof, terima kasih sudi bersama dengan Astro AWANI. Pertama sekali, susulan pengumuman Perdana Menteri semalam merentas umur dan juga background latar pendapatan ya, daripada 18 tahun ke atas automatik dapat RM100 pada penghujung Ogos nanti. Bagaimana sebenarnya kita nak menilai keberkesanan program, antaranya kalau kita bercakap soal SARA, STR ini dalam jangka masa yang panjang? Adakah ia bersifat penampan sementara atau benar-benar membina ketahanan ekonomi isi rumah itu, Prof?
Okey, terima kasih Harits. Okey, sebenarnya kan saya dah menjangkakanlah bahawa pengumuman tu akan diberikan kepada STR lah, melalui STR. Tapi saya terperanjat sebab semua dapat. Masa itu yang satu kejutan juga lah ya. Maksudnya bukan hanya golongan B40 dan golongan B40 yang terkesan, tapi semua dapat. Jadi dalam konteks ini maksudnya alhamdulillah lah kita dapat maksudnya sumbangan tunai rahmah tu ataupun sumbangan terus sumbangan terus. Jadi maksudnya dalam konteks ni persoalannya tadi kan sama ada SARA ataupun STR ni adalah satu penampan ataupun ialah satu ketahanan jangka panjang kan. Jadi maksudnya kalau kita lihat dalam konteks kehidupan kita sebagai individu dan juga masyarakat dan sebagainya, memang ada golongan yang memerlukan bantuan. Jadi maksudnya ini adalah satu proses di mana kita membantu membantu golongan-golongan yang terkesan ni, golongan rentan ini untuk meneruskan kehidupan. Jadi maksudnya ialah satu program intervensi yang bersifat bantuan langsung. So dalam jangka pendek ianya berfungsi lah. Maksudnya kita contoh tak cukup untuk bulan tu, ada bantuan tu, alhamdulillah dapat kita meneruskan kehidupan. Tetapi kita melihat ianya hanyalah sebagai penampan saja, iaitu financial buffer, bantuan je kepada golongan B40 ataupun M40 yang terpilih untuk mengatasi tekanan kos sara hidup. Tapi persoalan dia adakah kita sebagai rakyat ni hanya nak terima je dari bulan ke bulan kan, yang tidak mahu keluar daripada kepompong kita panggil kemiskinan itulah. Jadi maksudnya keberkesanan untuk jangka panjang ni bergantung kepada kita rakyat untuk keluar daripada contohnya B40 tu kepada M40, M40 pada T20 dan sebagainya lah. Iaitu kita nak katakan ada sebagai satu lonjakan sosial. Bukan hanya bergantung kepada bantuan yang itu kita terima setiap bulan tu. Jadi maksudnya kita mungkin boleh mengeluarkan diri kita lah dan keluarga kita daripada masalah-masalah kos sara hidup tu. Jadi mungkin dari segi pihak kerajaan boleh melihat dalam konteks bagaimana bantuan ini boleh disekalikan juga dengan peningkatan skill ataupun value added kepada golongan rakyat yang terkesan ini untuk mereka keluar daripada B40 atau M40 ini. Jadi maksudnya kita memberi mereka tahan dari segi ketahanan ekonomi lah. Ketahanan ekonomi untuk satu isi keluarga itu Harits.
Ya, Prof, antara yang diumumkan oleh Perdana Menteri semalam, kita lihat satu perbelanjaan besar akan dilakukan oleh kerajaan. Antaranya kalau kita mengambil kira bantuan SARA itu tadi, dan kemudian kita bercakap juga soal dari segi RON 95 yang akan dilaksanakan. Subsidinya akan menjadi RM1.99 seliter selepas penyasaran. Adakah langkah ini dilihat realistik dan juga mampan dalam jangka masa sederhana, terutama kalau kita meneliti kedudukan fiskal kewangan negara itu sendiri, Prof? Okey,
jadi kalau kita tengoklah dalam konteks global kita antara pengeluar minyak yang kalau kita compare dengan Indonesia dan juga Brunei dan lain-lain, kita antara yang terendah lah. Brunei memang paling rendah dari segi minyaknya sebab subsidinya besar, tapi penduduknya tidak ramai. Tapi Indonesia mempunyai penduduk yang sangat ramai, jadi subsidinya juga besar lah dari segi amountnya. dalam konteks ni kan kita turunkan kepada RM1.99 tu lah satu kita maksudnya kalau rakyat memang rasa lega lah. Okay, sebab dianya telah mengurangkan sebanyak 6 sen. Cuma dari segi jangka panjang, dari segi jangka panjang dia akan bergantung kepada kenaikan ataupun penurunan harga minyak global ni. Kalau contoh ni kita tengok minyak global WTI pada waktu ini adalah $66. Okay. Dan juga Brent pada yang kita punya minyak Brent kita punya Brent pada harga $68 sebarel satu tong. Jadi maksudnya kalau harga minyak tiba-tiba naik, harga minyak tiba-tiba naik, maksudnya dia akan memberikan satu kesan fiskal lah, tekanan fiskal lah kepada kita sebab bila harga minyak naik, subsidi pun akan naik. Okay, dari situ dia kita kena lihatlah dalam konteks ni. Inilah pentingnya sistem APM tu, hapungan tu kan. Jadi maksudnya secara tindakan untuk menurunkan harga tu memang tindakan populis, tapi dari segi jangka panjang kita kena tengok berapakah harga minyak dunia dan juga adakah berapakah kemampuan kita untuk menanggung subsidi. Jadi saya rasa dalam untuk menanggung subsidi petrol ni kita akan tengok pada waktu mungkin pada bulan September atau November kan, di mana dia akan dilaksanakan subsidi bersasar untuk petrol ni. Jadi maksudnya kita perlu melihat kepada bagaimana kerajaan dapat menyalurkan subsidi ini kepada golongan yang betul-betul memerlukan. Jadi hanya sebagai contohnya golongan B40 ataupun golongan M40 yang terpilih. Tetapi golongan T20 perniagaan, pelancong ataupun orang asing yang mungkin tidak boleh lah mendapatkan subsidi tersebut. Jadi mungkin yang pelaksanaan mekanisme pelaksanaan itu saya jangka dia akan menggunakan IC, kad pengenalan. Sebagai contohnya kalau kita tengok STR yang diumumkan yang RM100 yang semua dapat tu, menggunakan kad pengenalan. Jadi maksudnya ianya memberikan satu mekanisme sebagai satu transisi lah. Kita akan menggunakan kad pengenalan untuk kita mendapatkan subsidi petrol tersebut. Jadi dalam kalau kita banding sebagai contohnya di Indonesia mereka menggunakan apps ataupun QR untuk mereka mendapatkan subsidi petrol tersebut. Jadi maksudnya itu saya lihat memanjangkan queue. Maksudnya di petrol station tu panjang queue dia sebab apa terpaksa menggunakan QR. Jadi dalam konteks ni mungkin kita tengoklah apakah kesan dia apabila kita melaksanakan menggunakan IC tu nanti, kad pengenalan nanti, adakah ia akan membuatkan queue yang panjang di dalam petrol station nanti. Begitu Haris.
Ya. Prof, antara lain adalah termasuk dari segi kesediaan. Adakah Malaysia sebenarnya cukup bersedia nak mengimbangi dasar fiskal dan pada masa sama keperluan bantuan rakyat ini dan tanpa meningkatkan defisit yang terlalu tinggi ini? Kerana nak mencapai garis tengahnya itu mungkin satu cabaran kepada kerajaan nak melaksanakan dasar yang populis, tetapi bebanannya itu agak besar yang perlu ditanggung kerajaan. Adakah tingkat hasil adalah satu-satunya perkara yang akan memastikan isu ini dapat ditangani sebaik mungkin, Prof?
Okey, memang kita kalau dalam konteks kita lah, sebagai contoh individu lah, kita pendapatan, kita ada perbelanjaan, lepas tu kita ada surplus atau defisit. Maksudnya ada lebihan ataupun kurangan kan. Jadi maksudnya kalau kita contohnya, kita sangat-sangat sempit lah kita punya bajet tu, belanjawan kita tu, maksudnya kita sama ada kena tingkatkan pendapatan ataupun kurangkan perbelanjaan kan. Jadi dalam konteks kerajaan pun sama juga. Kita ada defisit yang kita memang dah lama lah daripada dulu. Defisit sebagai contohnya dulu hampir 5%, lebih 5% semasa COVID dan sebagainya. Dan sekarang ni cuba diturunkan kepada 3.8 pada tahun 2025. Tapi kita maksudnya kerajaan cuba untuk mengurangkan defisit tu, bukan tak ada hutang defisit tu maksudnya still belanja lebih juga. 3% pada 2030. Jadi itu satu cabaran maksudnya kita kalau kita kurangkan belanja, maksudnya subsidi pun kena kurang. Okey, kalau kita sebagai contohnya kita nak kurangkan kepada 3% pada 2030. So kita tarik subsidi ini, tarik subsidi itu. Jadi mungkin akan membuatkan rakyat rasa tidak senang dan sebagainya kan. Tapi bagaimana pula kita nak meningkatkan pendapatan tadi kan? Jadi untuk meningkatkan pendapatan, biasanya pendapatan negara ni datang dari cukai, okey, cukai langsung, cukai tidak langsung, hasil petroleum dan sebagainya lah. Okey, jadi maksudnya majoriti ni datangnya daripada cukai kan, cukai korporat kan, cukai SST, kalau dulu ada GST dan sebagainya. Di sini macam mana kita nak imbangkan tadi tu kan, yang apa yang telah Haris beritahu tadi, macam mana nak imbangkan, macam mana nak tingkatkan cukai ke ataupun kita nak kurangkan belanja ke. So dekat sini perlu ada penelitian yang sangat tuntas lah yang perlu dilakukan oleh pihak kerajaan untuk mengimbang kedua-duanya supaya ianya dilakukan semacam menarik benang dari dalam tepung kan. Jadi dia ni agak sukar untuk dilakukan, tapi kita mesti kena lakukan. Sebab apa? Kita melihat kepada konteks global dan sebagainya, kita tidak mahulah kita punya ekonomi ni akan dihimpit oleh masalah-masalah yang akan datang. Kita tidak tahu apa yang akan berlaku. Sebagai contohnya geopolitik dan sebagainya. Ya, Haris.
Ya. Prof, sudah tentu banyak perkara yang perlu ditelitikan oleh kerajaan, termasuklah dari segi jumlah perbelanjaannya, bagaimana nak memastikan hasilnya itu lebih baik selepas ini, dan termasuklah antara yang paling dekat adalah RMK 13 yang insyaAllah akan datang, akan dibentangkan oleh Perdana Menteri minggu hadapan, 31 hari bulan. Itu mungkin akan kita bincangkan dalam siri yang seterusnya. Terima kasih Profesor Dr. Nuradli Rizwan Shah Muhammad Ali, Profesor di Fakulti Ekonomi dan Muamalat Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia, yang juga Exco Persatuan Ekonomi Pengguna dan Keluarga Malaysia MAKFI. Segalanya akan kami rangkumkan dan terbitkan di social media dan semua platform digital Astro AWANI. Oil prices were little changed on Wednesday as investors assess trade developments between the European Union and the US after President Donald Trump reached a tariff deal. Brent crude futures settled 8 cents or 0.12% lower at $68.51 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down 6 cents or 0.09% at $65.25 per barrel. Both benchmarks lost about 1% on Tuesday after the EU said it was considering a countermeasure against US tariff. On the supply side, US Energy Information Administration data showed US crude inventories fell last week by 3.2 million barrels to 419 million barrels, compared with analyst expectations in a Reuters poll for 1.6 million barrel draw. US crude exports were up by 337,000 barrels per day to 3.86 million barrels per day, while net US crude imports fell last week by 740,000 barrels per day, the EIA said. In another bullish sign for the crude market, the US Energy Secretary said on Tuesday that US would consider sanctioning Russian oil to end the war in Ukraine. The EU on Friday agreed its 18th sanction package against Russia, lowering the price cap for Russian crude. The S&P 500 notched a record high close on Wednesday, lifted by Nvidia and GE Vernova, as the European Union and the US appeared headed toward a trade deal similar to an agreement US President Donald Trump struck with Japan. The benchmark S&P 500 has now climbed about 8% in 2025. Shares of GE Vernova surged to an all-time high after the power equipment maker raised its revenue and free cash flow forecast and beat Wall Street estimates for second quarter profit. Heavyweight AI chip maker Nvidia climbed and fueled against the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. Tesla swung between losses and gains ahead of its quarterly report due after the closing bell. Investors will focus on electric vehicle makers' analyst conference call. They have reached for Tesla to report a steep drop in revenue related to mounting competition, a lack of new car models, and consumer backlash against CEO Elon Musk.
I think in particular, it really is kind of a stepping stone for what we're going to see in Europe. I think the EU is probably next on the agenda. Again, it's not going to be anywhere near as complicated as the Chinese tariffs, but I think that's the president's goal, is to get some wins under his belt, go to Japan, go to the EU, get some of those, and ultimately push the most difficult tariff negotiations with China off a little bit. A lot of institutions are kind of positioned not really aggressively in this market. When you look at the futures markets, the S&P is not, the options market's not grossly overweighted. So I think you've got some people that are expecting some volatility, and some of these announcements that come out are positives, and people are not in a great position, so they have to keep buying them. So yeah, I would expect as we get more and more of these deals, the market to continue to go higher. At some point, you think it's fully priced in, but days like today show you it's not.
The European Union and the US are moving toward a trade deal that could include a 15% US baseline tariff on EU goods and possible exemptions, two European diplomats said on Wednesday. This development potentially moving President Donald Trump closer to another major trade agreement on the heels of the one he just unveiled with Japan yesterday.
European negotiators were hoping to reach an agreement to dodge the 30% tariffs rate Trump has said he would impose on imports from the 27-nation bloc on August 1st. The rate, which could also extend to cars, would mirror the framework agreement the US has struck with Japan, which Trump announced late on Tuesday. There could be concessions for sectors like aircraft and lumber, as well as some medicines and agricultural products, which would not face tariffs. Washington does not, however, appear willing to lower its current 50% tariffs on steel. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro told Bloomberg News the report from EU should be taken with a grain of salt. As talks continued, the European Commission said it would press on the potential countermeasures in case a deal was not reached. EU member states were set to vote on 93 billion euros of counter tariffs on US goods on Thursday, European diplomats said. Trump was aiming to secure an agreement on the heels of a complicated deal reached with Japan, the largest foreign investor in the US. That deal included a $550 billion investment and loan pledges from Japan and its commitment to buy 100 Boeing airplanes and boost purchases of US agricultural products. That investment, to be spent at Trump's discretion, would focus on key industries like energy, semiconductors, critical minerals, pharmaceuticals, and shipbuilding, the White House said on Wednesday. Tariffs on Japan's auto sector will drop from 27.5% to 15% as part of the agreement, reviving hopes for similar treatment for European cars.
European Council President Antonio Costa and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen arrived in Beijing early Thursday for the 25th China-European Union Summit, a meeting coinciding with the 50th anniversary of the establishment of China-EU diplomatic ties. Chinese President Xi Jinping will meet with Costa and von der Leyen, while Premier Li Qiang will co-chair the 25th China-EU Summit with the two EU leaders. China and the EU have recently experienced disputes on several issues, including the EU's impositions of countervailing duties on Chinese electric vehicles and restrictions on Chinese companies' participation in public procurement for medical devices. experts note that current China-EU relations are influenced by multiple factors, including China-US strategic competition and policy uncertainties between the US and Europe. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Goh Jiakun said in a regular press conference on Monday that China hopes that the EU will work with China, pull consensus, rise above differences, jointly plan for the cooperation in the next 50 years, and open up a brighter future for the China-EU comprehensive strategic partnership. The White House on Wednesday said the up to $550 billion package of US-bound investment and loans agreed with Japan will be spent at President Donald Trump's discretion. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said the deal was negotiated up from an initial $400 billion commitment and will focus on key industries like energy, semiconductors, critical minerals, pharmaceuticals, and shipbuilding.
We had Japan yesterday, we also had Indonesia, and we had the Philippines as well. The president announcing all three. He came in as the closer in all three of those. I've said many times from this podium that the president's trade team has been in active talks and discussions with many countries around the world, and you've all been anxiously awaiting what those countries were. Now you know three of them, and there's many, many more to go. We have now sent 25 letters to countries around the world. Japan will now pay a 15% tariff versus the reciprocal rate of 24% that they initially had. Auto and auto parts tariffs have been reduced to 15%, but the centerpiece of this deal now is the president got Japan to commit to $550 billion in investments to revitalize American industries. And these funds will be spent at President Trump's discretion and direction into key industries such as energy, semiconductors, critical minerals, pharmaceuticals, and shipbuilding. And the U.S. will retain 90% of the profits from any investments made by this $550 billion fund.
Okey, baik. Sekian sahaja Niaga Awani untuk waktu ini. Selepas ini kami akan bawakan perkembangan sidang Dewan Rakyat. Assalamualaikum, salam hormat. Kita jumpa lagi.